Hey guys, welcome back. So we did part one of the intercooler install on this truck. So we're going to be doing part two now. So we're going to get right into it so that we're not wasting any more of your time. So we've gotten everything painted here, and while we're waiting for it to dry, we've drilled new holes in the radiator up there. So that would be this hole way in the back there. So we drilled that hole already. And that'll be for our fan shroud. So we're going to drop the fan shroud down in, bolt the top two bolts in, and then we're going to mark through the hole here what needs cut off and then where that hole is. So we're going to do that so that fan shroud is ready to go in when we go to put this all back together. So we got the fan shroud loosely installed here. So we just put the top two bolts in, and it's still a little bit loose, but that's where it's going to sit. So now we can come down here and we can see how much we have to cut off here, and then we also can see our hole up there that needs to be marked and drilled. So we're going to mark this up and we're going to get it all cut off there. We're going to repeat the same thing over here. Now we'll pull the shroud back out and we'll get it cut off. So the way I was able to mark this is actually the top of our hole, and then I just need to cut this off and go straight down with it. Now if you have a 94.5, this is what you have to do, and if you have a 95 and up, or an early 95 I should say and up, you still have to modify the fan shroud here. It's just your bolting pattern is totally different. Now this is a fiberglass composite type material, so try not to get this on your skin. You want to make sure that you wear gloves whenever you're doing this for sure, because this stuff will make you very, very itchy and can make it feel like you're getting pricked all the time. So don't get this stuff on you. So an oscillating tool is great for this. And we're just going to go ahead and start trimming. So that's what we're looking for here. We want to have that notch cut out, and we're going to repeat this on the other side and drill that hole as well. All right, so we got the other side cut off here. It's a very simple process. The oscillating tool really makes this nice and easy. So we're going to drill our holes, and then this fan shroud will be ready to go back in. So we got everything painted up here. We got the frame painted here where we had scuffed it up earlier, and we have the core support all painted up inside, and then everywhere that we cut that we could actually get paint to. We went ahead, reinstalled our speed clips and bolts here that hold the radiator in, tighten the radiator down. We also reinstalled the fan shroud that we just modified and put the fan back in. Everything is reinstalled that we had to take out to do the modifications to the core support and its attaching components. The next thing we're going to have to do is there's a bracket that is on the inner fender mount that holds the battery tray that's on the inside here. I'll show it to you. There's a little bracket there, and depending on the style of truck you have, it could be a very large metal bracket. It could be a short tin bracket like this one is. So we're going to just take that bracket completely off because it's just going to be in the way. It's not doing anything at the moment now, especially since we're going to be rearranging coolant hoses, battery wires, and the AC line. So we're going to be massaging that to get the pipe to fit. Now, we're going to be using the factory intercooler pipes. I think that these are the 99, early 99 ones. So we have to actually lengthen these. So we'll be cutting these, extending them, and re-welding them back together. This one is aluminum. I didn't check the other one yet, but we're going to have to be, we have to have the intercooler mounted to get an accurate length. So we're going to go ahead and put the intercooler in and get it mounted up, and that's where this is going to sit. We can't put the front end back on until we're 100% done because we might have to end up pulling the intercooler back out to get the pipes in with the boot. It's a trial and error type method. So we're going to get the intercooler mounted, get it set up, and then we're going to start working on getting the pipes put together. So we have our brackets here, and I did mark these driver passenger because they are fit for each side, so I didn't want to screw them up. So I did mark them before we painted them. So we're going to go ahead and start with our top bracket up here, and just going to leave it loose. So we have the two top mounts put in. They can be moved, which is what we want. And we're going to go ahead and drop our intercooler in now. All right, we got everything started here, so we're going to snug everything up. That way this intercooler is where it's going to be. So you can see that this intercooler is securely mounted, but still rubber isolated with the rubber up top. And there's little rubber feet inside here. So we got this thing mounted. We have lots of clearance down through here. And now we can go ahead and work on getting our pipes set up for the inside here. So I'm going to show you the bracket that we got to get rid of and show you all the stuff that we got to move and give you an idea on what we have to actually do to extend these pipes. So give you an idea of what needs to be done. So this wiring harness may have to come out of the alternator here, and the intercooler pipe is going to want to go down right beside this AC line down here, this guy here. So we're going to end up having to possibly remove this bracket here and put the wires for the battery on the other side of it to give us a little bit more room to get this AC line moved over. And those are bolted on back here. It's a little harder to see, but there's 2 bolts back here, and then there's 1 nut right here. So we've got to possibly take that bracket off, put this battery cable over on the other side, and then at the same time too, there's a little metal bracket down here. It's a little hard to see also, but it's this guy right here. And there's a little 8mm bolt down here out of the frame that you can't really see because there's stuff in the way. So you can see the bolt down here. We're just going to take that bracket completely off and get this set up so that we can get this intercooler pipe in. Because this intercooler pipe will go down in here like this, and it wants to occupy the same space as everything down here. So you can see that we have to come forward a lot more to get this pipe to set in here. So we're going to be moving some of this stuff around here to make room for this intercooler pipe, which isn't too bad to do, but I won't be able to video it because I can't get a good angle on it. But we're going to move that stuff around, and we'll show you what we did. So we went ahead and put the battery cable on the other side of this bracket, and you can see that we've moved this AC line farther over. So now we have a lot more room in here for that intercooler pipe. And this was the little bracket that we had taken off down there. Like I said, this one has a rubberized coating on it, but I've seen where the newer trucks are a metal bracket, like an L bracket, and they clip into it instead of just try to hold the cable like this one does. So that bracket was actually right down here on the, let's see if we can get you to see it. It's right there. So that's where that bracket bolts to. And I know that was a little bit blurry, but now we have a lot more room for the intercooler pipe. So we'll see if we can get it to stick down in here now. So you can see we have a lot more room here. This is going to go somewhere around this general area, and you can see how far we are away from the intercooler here. And we're going to probably have to do a little bit more modifications down there because this guy wants to run directly into the fan shroud here. So we're going to be messing with this a little bit and try to get some more clearance made up here. This is going to be a trial and error method. We may end up having to take the battery cable and run it up over this pipe, but I'm hoping we don't have to do that. So we'll screw with this a little while, get this pipe extended and measured out, and kind of show you guys what we ended up with, and then give you the details of it, because this could take some time here to get this fit up exactly the way I want it to fit. So we'll cut back to this once it's a little bit closer to done to show you exactly what we did. So we have everything loosely installed. We still don't have the clamp on the turbo yet. We're still waiting for that to show up, and obviously there's still a port open there. However, we got the boots set on here with their appropriate clamps. None of them are tight. I ended up cutting this pipe here. I've done this before as far as installing these pipes. What this does is it lets the bottom stay in down here with the intercooler. So if you have to do any service, you just have to take this upper side pipe off. And plus the bend was a little bit wrong, so this will help with the bend issue. So this is a very suitable way to do this if you're trying to do this a little bit cheaper than say buying new pipes. These are obviously Superduty pipes off of a Superduty. I also had to push in a little bit here to make sure we had enough clearance to work around the AC compressor. It was just a little bit too tight for my liking. And over here, everything seems to be good. We ended up taking that bracket back off, and we're going to see how everything fits once we put the inner fender in. Once we got to see where this bracket has to be along with this AC line, which I've bent out of the way. But we're going to see if the AC line needs to be on one side of the bracket or the other, but we won't know until we put the inner fender in and see how that line fits with that inner fender installed. So now the important part. We did some measuring down here between the intercooler and the intercooler pipe, and we have the riffraff boots here that we're going to be using. So I measured from the collar here, so this is where the intercooler would end, and there's approximately 4 inches here of boot. I do believe I can remeasure it again just to see. Yeah, so we have 3.5 inches. So realistically, you want that pipe to be in this boot at least an inch, no less. 2 inches is better. So we have 3.5 inches of boot to use. And when we measured down here with the factoring in of the boot, I think we had a 6-inch gap. And if we have a 6-inch gap and we need to have 2 inches in and we have 4 inches of boot, so that would be 3.5. So if you can see where the 6 would be here. So we need to extend that pipe at least 3 inches. I may do 3.5 on this side, but if we can get that pipe in there 1.5 inches, that'd be great. So we're going to go ahead and remeasure all this, make sure that we're going to have enough pipe here. I do have another intercooler pipe that we're going to be cutting the ends off of, and luckily both of these are aluminum, they're not steel, so I have one extra aluminum pipe here that we're going to be cutting off and adding. So the same thing over here, we need about 3.5 inches to make this work. We had about the same gap, and we're just going to go ahead and take these pipes back out and cut some other pipes and weld them on, make sure they're long enough. And then once they're long enough, we'll go ahead and start installing this 100%. So I don't claim to be a welder, but these aren't too bad. You can see how much we actually extended them. So I made the passenger side a little bit longer than the driver's side. I made about 3.5 on this side and 4 on this one. We're going to see how these are going to fit in here now. But first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this intercooler back out and get the boots put on it. And we probably have to put the clamp on from the other side, but get the boot put on and then get this back in here. And then we can go ahead and start putting our intercooler pipes on. I'm going to have to clean a little bit of glue off of here. I'm actually going to clean them both. And we're going to see if we can get the boots put on. And we're also going to see if we can get the clamp to stay on this side. That way we can clamp this and put it in there, and we won't have to worry about trying to get this clamp with the on the inside of the core support there. So we got our intercooler all cleaned up here. Got all the goop off of here and any grease and grime. And we're going to push this boot on and push it on until it gets to the end of the bell here. Now we're going to try and stick a clamp way at the back here, and hopefully we'll be able to miss hitting any of the supports back here. And it'll just be so much easier to put the clamp on this side. We can clamp this on and get it stuck in here. Now these boots are pretty flexible, so I'm hoping that we'll be able to massage this into place with the boot on. If not, we can actually take the boot off, put it in here, and then push it on with the clamp on it and get it put on that way. So we've got our clamps started here. We're going to see if we can get this thing to go in there now. So just like I had figured was going to happen, we're going to have to pull these boots off, put them in the holes, and then get the intercooler in place and then push the boots on. So we've got our boots set in here. We have our clamps on the intercooler. So we got it set in here. Now we'll push our boots on. So now that we've got these boots put on here, just going to orient the clamp so that it's not going to be in the way of anything else. And we'll go ahead and tighten these down. So I had to really shove this thing in here. And the reason is because the radiator, being that it's the old brass style radiator, the metal radiator, it's a smidge wider than your plastic ones. So your plastic aluminum ones. And right now it is super tight between the radiator and the intercooler. There's no way to fix that. So we're going to try to just make this work. And I might have to push this in just a smidge more. And we're going to try to get this bolted all up so that it's going to sit in here the way we originally intended. So we got this all mounted in here. It's a super tight fit. However, we got it to work. We've got the clamps on the outside of the core support, and you should never have to take these out. And if you do, you're going to be pulling the core support. You're going to be pulling the intercooler out anyway. So this is a very, very tight fit. I don't feel like this is going to be moving too much at all. The only other thing is we're using these riffraff boots. They are thicker than your normal boot. So that's why we're also running into a small issue with this. But that's also why I cranked down these clamps as hard as I did with the impact, because we wanted to make sure that we were going to get a good tight fit on this, and this wasn't going to give us any issues. So now that we have this intercooler mounted up, we can go ahead and jump up top and see if our pipes are going to fit. I'm going to start with this side here. Put a clamp on down there first. So that one fits pretty good. And we can go ahead and start getting this other pipe put on here. We're going to leave all these clamps loose until we're ready to seal everything up, tightened up everything at once. So let's get this other side put in. Start with this bottom one down here. And for this, we're going to be mindful of that ground wire, and we're actually going to run it on the opposite side of the pipe here. So we got that one set in there, and we're going to bring it up right around this power steering pump here. So we're not going to hit anything here, and now we can put this top piece on. So we're reusing an original Ford boot for here. And then we'll just put these clamps on loosely, obviously. And then we'll put our top pipe on. So we have this hose here. Now, the hose isn't quite long enough to go around the pipe. So we're just going to kind of give it a little bit of a bend there so it's not pushing so hard on this intercooler pipe. Ideally, we want this hose to be kind of like down like this, but doing that puts a little bit of a kink in it, which I'm not real crazy about. So it's much happier to be up like this. Now we've got all of our intercooler piping in here. We're going to go ahead and line up our clamps and get everything tightened up. So now we have freedom to move this around a little bit. If it needs to go one way or another, we're able to do that. You can see we got everything fit back up here. The only thing we're missing is a grill and a bumper. The hood latch clears the intercooler, does not hit at all, which is wonderful. We still have to test it, make sure that the marks we put on were good. And then up here, we ended up putting our bracket on with the positive cable on this side, the ground cable on that side, and we squiggled the AC line through that little hole there, which is, it's padded down there by my thumb. But a little bit of bending around there, and the intercooler pipe is pretty much touching the inner fender. But everything is all installed here. Everything looks like it's going to be pretty good. We ended up having to push this pipe in a little bit more to gain us a little bit of access. You can see it's really tight to the valve cover, but it is not touching. Over here, we flipped our clamps around because I was trying to get the S&B intake to fit, and this is going to be a temporary fix for now until he figures out what he wants to do. If he wants to get a new intercooler pipe for this side at some point, or if he wants to just replace the intake itself. This is the one complaint I have about the S&B intake. I haven't used their newest generation, but the first generation was very large and bulky, so it does not like the fact that this intercooler pipe is here. We also have our boost gauge installed down here, along with our little hose set up there, so we didn't have to worry about cutting those pipes off of there, the little vacuum ports. And we are still waiting on this clamp. So we should have that clamp here in a couple days, and that will be the finishing touch for this truck. Other than that, no other issues. We got everything buttoned up. We got both inner fenders back in here, and the passenger one fought us a little bit, but that's because this truck has the 05 and up axle swap on it, so the coil bucket is kind of a pain in the butt to get around. However, everything went pretty smoothly. We ended up trimming the header panel right here and did pretty much the same thing on the bottom half of it down on the side you can't see, and did a little bit over here, and everything fit up very nicely. So we have all of our brackets installed down there, up here, and we got it up here, and obviously the one down here. So everything is installed. We readjusted his headlights for him so they fit the truck a little bit better. We still have to do a little bit of maybe final touches there. We got to get it off the lift here and get it somewhere flat where I can do a little bit better of a measurement. However, that is an install for the intercooler system on one of these trucks. This is obviously a retrofit type of deal, and I would do one of these any day over a bank setup. This fits just so much better, even though it's a lot of custom fabrication and cutting. You still have to do that with the Banks pipes, and you can see our boot in there with the clamp. You know, it's pretty tight, but it works. So everything fit, and I think everything fit actually a little bit better than the bank setup did. The only thing that I would do differently is do a Superduty dipstick, because the oil dipstick here is way down in there, and it's kind of hard to get to with this intercooler pipe. So that's the only thing I would suggest to do for him at some point. However, we got this all buttoned up here. We ran into a couple problems with some other things with this truck, but we got the intercooler system set up. So we're going to go ahead, get the hood checked out, make sure it latches right, and then put the grill back on and put the bumper back on, and we are done. So thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you guys watching my videos. If this video has helped you, then please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and if you think somebody could use this information, please share the video out to somebody that may need it. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll catch you on the next one.